everyone, and welcome to Stan the Wine Man TV. I'm your host, Stan Rattan, and this is the Blue Collar Wine Show, where I try to help you spend your wine dollars wisely. And why I forget to put on my external mic, I'll never seem to understand. Hopefully the sound comes out on this okay. I also forgot on episode 226. You'd think I never did this before. We're still celebrating Washington Wine Month, and we're going to review a couple of Charles Smith's wine. And you talk about a guy who's really promoted Washington wine. Charles Smith is probably the best marketer out there, one of the best out there. Excuse me, I know there's other guys that really do a good job. First thing that comes to my mind is Charles Beeler. He works with Charles Smith. Joel Gott. There's a bunch of good marketers out there that do a good job, but Charles Smith really has a lock on it. He has a lock on it. We're going to do the Sustained Pinot Gris. I know I made a comment on episode 226, and I just wish to backtrack a little bit. You know, I always talk about never let anybody tell you what not to not like. Don't ever let anybody tell you what you should or shouldn't like. There you go. I spit it out. And I always make comments about Pinot Gris. I like Pinot Gris. Don't get me wrong. I just think there's a lot of people that get stuck on it. They only go to it because that's what they're comfortable with. And I really do encourage you to reach out and try new things. Break away from Pinot Gris. Nothing wrong with Pinot Gris, Grigio, whatever. But don't get stuck on it. That's my point. I mean, yes, I made it obvious that it's not my favorite varietal. Certainly isn't. But there are some that I do like a lot. And I'll be the first to admit that. And we're going to try the Pinot Gris from Sustained. And thank you, Matthew McKinnon, for sending me the link. There's some, I know in episode 225, I talked about the things on the back of the label referring to some sort of a lyric or rock band. The saying on the back actually comes from Spinal Tap, if you're familiar with that older musical program. So that's where that comes from. Thank you, Matthew McKinnon, for sending me that link on Facebook. I appreciate it. Actually, it took me a second to figure out, why is he sending me this? Then it hit me. So we're going to start off right with the Sustained Pinot Gris 2014 Columbia Valley, the Underground Wine Project, with a quote from Spinal Tap on the back, rolls in at $11. And I've never tasted, this is a new label from Mark Ryan McNeely and Trey Bush. Let's give it a little rinse. You see 4 wines up here, you're going, oh my goodness, is Stan going to take forever? It's going to be another 30-minute program. I promise it won't. I'm going to go right through these. I don't know if I could watch myself for 30 minutes. I certainly don't expect you to. Let's see what we get on the nose. Immediately I get pears and apples. No surprise there. That's what you kind of expect from a Washington Pinot Gris. And by the way, these are all screw caps, stealth enclosure. No, James Lobby, we are not going to call them twisties. I don't care if you are a writer for the Wine Spectator. Twisties is a stupid name. Just call them screw caps. Call them stealth enclosures. Whatever you want to call them. They're becoming more and more popular. But don't call them twisties. Whatever. Pretty ripe pears. I like that. Very aromatic. There's a little like a ginger element coming through. What is that smell? I get a smell. There's like a, almost like a carnation sort of thing coming through. Let's see what we get on the palate. Nice Pinot Gris, I like it. Drier, good acid. The pears and apples come through big time. Has a nice freshness to it. The pears are kind of ripe. The apples are ripe. Like I said, nice and fresh. A little bit of just a skosh of mineralities and white flowers. I'm going to go beyond that. I think it's a great Pinot Gris for 11 bucks. Good job, guys. And this would be, what I like about this Pinot Gris, and I'll just tell you right now, oysters, clams, crab, halibut, go with all those things. A summer salad, go with that. Go with sushi, go with a lot of stuff. It's a good Pinot Gris for the price. I'm going to go B. Let's move on. Charles Smith, Charles & Charles Chardonnay, Washington State, 2013. This rolls in at $11 also. It says a pure, full-flavored, yet beautifully balanced wine. Never read the back label, by the way. They're always prejudicial. Like I said, Charles Smith, I mean, this guy rocks. He's really put Washington wine on the map. I mean, the guy sells a ton of Riesling. I think he's might even be right up there with his Kung Fu Girl Riesling. I mean, he boatload of that stuff. He's giving St. Michel a run for their money. I have noticed that Washington State Chardonnay has really come to life. We did a couple of Ashen from Chris Gorman. We tasted a couple of those the other day with Pete, and man, amazing. I mean, Chardonnay has come a long way in Washington State. I mean, a long way, from leaner styles to more full-bodied, and yet they still continue to go in all directions. So you have a lot of different styles to choose from. Let's see what we get on the nose. A little bit of butter action, a little bit of fig and nuts, which I like. Making sure it's not too cold. Like I've said many, many times, I try to taste the wines the way the consumer is going to taste them. That's the only fair way to do it. I mean, I could do them all at room temperature, and guess what? None of you are going to get any of the aromatics I get. I'm not a big fan of drinking whites at room temperature, only because they're not as refreshing. That's why we drink whites. Isn't that so? Now, from a critic standpoint, we might tend to do that, but I did talk to a few winemakers, actually more than a few, and they all told me, yes, we do build our wines to be drunk the way we feel the consumer will do that, and in the case of Chardonnay or any other white, a little on the cooler side. So get over yourself if you think you have to drink them at room temperature. Get a little banana skin and apple skin out of this one. A little bit of pear. Let's see what we get on the palate. Now mind you, this is an $11 Chardonnay. Nice roundness on the palate. I like that. A lot of you are going to like that. You get a little bit of that buttery component. There's a little bit of a toasty element, which is peculiar because I doubt if he uses a lot of oak. I get butter, I get ripe, like green apple, not Granny Smith, but a riper, maybe more, I guess maybe more on the red delicious side. A little bit of pear action going on, which I like. It's fairly simple. You're not getting a huge amount of complexity in this wine, which for $11 you don't expect. But what you do get is a really good Chardonnay that could go with a lot of different things. Again, sushi, clams, oysters, chicken, fowl. I don't want to just do chicken, but fowl, sushi, halibut, all of those things go good with, actually go good with salmon if you decide to go that direction, because it's not, there's not a lot of oak on this wine. You know, it's just, I can see where he's going with this. I really do. I see a very consumer-friendly Chardonnay. But that being said, it's fairly simple. I'm going to go C+ on that one. Let's move on to the Charles & Charles Riesling Art Den Hode Vineyard 2014, Washington State. Single vineyard, single-minded, Charles & Charles, $11. Like I said, his Kung Fu Girl Riesling has gotten some really good press. This is his Charles & Charles label, which is his value label, by the way. Real curious to try both these Rieslings. Now Riesling is it's funny, but a lot of wine geeks are really into Riesling. A lot of people avoid Riesling. They think it's all sweet. Trust me, not all Riesling is sweet. It has a lot of different faces. I mean, Riesling has many different faces, which makes it really cool. It can be petroleum. It can be diesel. I mean, petroleum more on the rubber boot side. It can be purely diesel. It can be dry, like bone dry. It can be really super sweet. It can be all those in between. It's a really cool wine, and that's why a lot of wine geeks like it. I like Riesling. I don't drink a ton of it. I'll be honest. I love Riesling. I just don't always have it around. My wife likes Riesling a lot, but she has not drunk it lately. So let's see what we get on the nose. Right off the bat, get that rubber boot. I love that in a Riesling. With peaches and apricots and mangoes. I love the nose on this. Yeah, very nice, very nice. Let's see what we get on the palate. Kind of excited. I haven't tried this Riesling yet. Very, very cool Riesling. I love this stuff. This is cool. You get that kind of rubber boot thing going on, but it finishes with a little bit of residual sugar, so you get a little bit of that sweetness, but right on the front side, it's more like, okay, I'm a wine geek, I don't want that sweet, but there it is. There's all that petroleum kind of weird stuff going on that you look for in Riesling. I got that peach pit, apricot, mango thing going on all the way front to back, and then it finishes a little bit sweet, but it's not super sweet. It's like right in that really cool area where I think a lot of people can say, wow, I really like this Riesling. I definitely see this as an Asian food wine. A little bit of spicy dish with this Riesling. Perfect. Yeah, this is a good Riesling. A little bit of apple coming through at the very end. I like that. The apple kind of hangs on. Nice and fresh, good acid, which is a key to a really good Riesling in my opinion. That's my opinion. Nice and fresh, good job. $11, that's a steal. I'm going to go A- on that. I think that's a really good Riesling for $11. I'm going to show it to you one more time because I think you should seek this out. It will be at the store I work at. This is the first time I tried it. I love this Riesling. Nice job, Mr. Smith. Let's move on. Going to go to another Riesling from David O'Reilly. He does a Corvidae Wine Company as part of his portfolio. He's Owen Rowe of Owen Rowe fame. 2011, so it's a little bit older. 2013, excuse me. 13 Ravenna Riesling, Columbia Valley, $10. Corvidae Wine Company. There's a lot of wines from Corvidae Wine Company that I really like. They do a Mirth Chardonnay. They do just a ton of stuff. Lenore, Syrah. Let's see what we get on the nose. Once again, just like the Charles & Charles, you get that real rubber boot sort of diesel thing. Big time. A little bit of fruit underneath. A little bit of a kind of a lemongrass thing going on underneath. Really interesting. Not quite as expressive as the Charles & Charles, but very interesting nonetheless. Yeah, I get the kind of the apricot mango thing going on. Let's see what we get on the palate. Excellent Riesling. Excellent Riesling. Not quite as much residual sugar on the backside as the Charles & Charles, but I'm telling you, it has enough sweetness to keep you happy for those guys who like sweet Rieslings, sweeter style Rieslings. But it's just got that rubber boot petroleum beach ball thing going on. with the fruit, with the peaches and apricots and a little bit of citrus going on, a little bit of mandarin orange, a little bit of a lemon coming through. There's all this stuff going on with this wine for 10 bucks. Nice acid, just like the Charles & Charles. Nice and fresh on the finish. I could have that Riesling. Seriously. I would have no problem having that Riesling with shellfish, sushi, salads, hot summer day on the back porch. This is a good Riesling. Both the Charles & Charles and Corvidae really coming through. I'm going to go A on the Corvidae, just a notch above the Charles & Charles. Really like it, but that's me. That's the Riesling geek side of me coming out. But I think a lot of you are going to like both of those. Excellent price, within $1 of each other. Really good Riesling. If you haven't dove into Riesling yet, if you really haven't given it a shot, for that price, I think it's worth it to give those a shot. Washington State, this is Washington Wine Month, August is Washington Wine Month. Washington State, one of the better wines that they do on a consistent level is Riesling. They're known for their Riesling, their Merlot. Those are two wines that they do really well in Washington State, amongst many other things, of course. But Riesling was one of the initial things that got them on the map. Both excellent. Thanks for watching. And remember, wine is not a mystery. It is just fermented grape juice. Drink it. Enjoy it. Always be willing to try new things. Don't get stuck on something. Expand your palate horizons. But never, ever, ever let anybody tell you what you should or shouldn't like. And if you do that, together, we can keep the snob out of wine.